It's very good afternoon to all. So now I'm going to take one of the important the formula which relates the receiving power with the transmitting power is none other than Friis transmission formula. You are studying the Friis transmission formula, that is nothing but radio communication link which links the receiving antenna with the transmitting antenna. And also you are studying about antenna field zones. What are the regions which are surrounding the antenna? What is the difference between them? And so these things you are studying in this session. So let's start with the radio communication link or the Friis transmission formula, which is the most important the formula in this antennas. And in the previous session you studied about aperture concept. Same aperture concept we are using here to derive the expression of the received power which is relating to the transmitting power. Dear students, as we know that aperture concept is introduced for the receiving antenna by considering the receiving antenna, and this aperture concept is used to derive the important Friis transmission formula. This Friis transmission formula, which published in the year 1946 by Errol T. Friis of the Bell Telephone Laboratory. Here you are looking the figure which shows transmitting antenna and receiving antenna. The transmitter feeds the transmitting power to the transmitting antenna. The transmitting antenna having the effective aperture called AET. AET stands for effective aperture of the transmitting antenna. And the antenna which radiates that energy into the free space that can be received by the receiving antenna. Here R is the distance between the transmitting antenna and receiving antenna. The receiving antenna which intercepts most of the power which is transmitted by the transmitting antenna, and this receiving antenna having the effective aperture called AER, and then it delivers to the receiver. Let's start the derivation. What is the power per unit area available at the receiving antenna? So power is delivered to the receiver. Now what is the power available at the receiving antenna per unit area? So power per unit area is denoted by SR is equal to PT divided by 4 pi r square. So power per unit area, the name itself it is telling that power transmitting power is PT, area is 4 pi r square. Call it as equation number 1. SR is equal to PT by 4 pi r square is the power per unit area. Call it as equation number 1. If the antenna has the gain GT, power per unit area available at the receiving antenna will be increased. So this is given by SR is equal to PT GT divided by 4 pi r square. Call it as equation number 2. Now the power collected by the lossless receiving antenna of effective aperture AER is given by PR is equal to SR into AER is equal to PT GT into AER by 4 pi r square. Call it as equation number 3. And next, the gain of the transmitting antenna can be expressed as GT is equal to 4 pi by lambda square into AET. So this is the relationship between the effective aperture and the gain of the antenna. So we can express the gain of the transmitting antenna in terms of the effective aperture as 4 pi lambda square into AET. Call it as equation number 4. Now substitute equation 4 in equation 3. You get PR is equal to AET AER into PT divided by R square into lambda square. So this is the Friis transmission formula which relates received power with the transmitting power, and also we express this received power in terms of the effective aperture. So next we have the problem on this received power. Radio link as a 15 watts transmitter connected to an antenna of 2.5 meter square effective aperture at 5 gigahertz. The receiving antenna has an effective aperture of 0.5 meter square and is located at a 15 kilometer line of sight distance from the transmitting antenna. Assuming lossless matched antennas, find the power delivered to the receiver. You are required to find the received power PR. So here the transmitting power PT is equal to 15 watts and effective aperture of the transmitting antenna is 2.5 meter square and the frequency is 5 gigahertz. Using this you can find out the lambda and the receiving antenna aperture, that is effective aperture of the receiving antenna AER is equal to 0.5 meter square and the distance of separation between the transmitting and receiving antenna is 15 kilometer. Now substituting all this in the Friis transmission formula relating received power with the transmitting power, you will get 23 microwatts. Lambda is obtained from the frequency by knowing the velocity of light is 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. So lambda is 0.06. Substitute all these things in the formula. You will get 23 microwatts is the power which is delivered to the receiver. So next topic or next fundamental parameter is antenna field zones. Around the antenna we have the two important regions. One is near to the antenna called near field, or it is also called as Fresnel zone, and one more region which is located at the larger distance from the antenna, that is called as a far field or the Fraunhofer zone. The Fresnel zone, which can be further divided into two regions, one is the reactive near field region, another is the radiating near field region. Dear students, you are observing here reactive field region. You are observing the antenna. Around the antenna we have the two regions. One is the region near to the antenna, that is called as a near region, or we also called as Fresnel zone. And one more is far field, which is far away from the antenna, which is called as a far field region or the Fraunhofer region. And as I told you, this Fresnel zone or near field region, which is further divided into two regions. One is a reactive near field region, another is the radiating near field region. Reactive near field region is located when the radius from the center of the antenna is less than 0.62 root of dq by lambda. Suppose if the radius greater than 0.62 root of dq by lambda less than 2d square by lambda means, then the region is called as a radiating near field. In the next figure I will show where exactly we are getting the perfect radiation pattern and what about in the reactive and the radiating field. You are observing perfect radiation pattern is obtained in the outer region. Okay, in the first this one is the look here, from the Fraunhofer region or the far field region you are getting the perfect radiation pattern, but in the radiating field you are not getting the perfect radiation pattern, that is the incomplete radiation pattern, and there is no shape in the reactive near field region. There is no shape of the radiation pattern in the reactive field region. So reactive field region which exists when the radius is less than this 0.62 into root of dq by lambda, and this radiating field is existing when the radius is less than 2d square by lambda and greater than 0.62 into root of dq by lambda. And in the reactive near field region, reactive field is predominating there, and the electric and magnetic fields are not orthogonal to each other. There is no shape of the radiation pattern. Understood? So these things you are observing in the reactive near field, but in the radiating near field, once again the radiation pattern is incomplete, not formed perfectly, and these electric and magnetic fields are not orthogonal to each other. And one more thing is that this field do not display a spherical wavefront. This pattern varies with distance. So this is what you are observing in the radiating near field, but in the far field region or the Fraunhofer region, you are observing that the complete radiation pattern is formed. Electric and magnetic fields are perpendicular to each other. And one more thing is that wave impedance is ideally real, and power predominant real, propagating energy. And these things you are observing in the far field, where the radius is greater than 2 into L square by lambda. So these are the different zones which available around the antenna. Thank you for watching the video.